Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is LB the Realist. This is Surrealistic Studios, where the real is surreal. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. So, please excuse me because my acid reflex is messing with me. So if you see me, burping and patting on my chest and making weird noises, that's why. And I've already recorded this video. I'm losing daylight, as you guys can tell. So I'm probably gonna have to brighten this video up. But I wanted to do this. It just hit the news today that I know of. I just saw it recently. Eric Schneiderman, New York's Attorney General, is accused of abusing 4 women. Now, my last video, besides this unfortunate incident with the baby being inadvertently thrown off the balcony, my last video was on Bill Cosby. It was about a 30-minute or so video. And I didn't have all the facts and statistics and numbers in front of me, but I had a lot of information that I was researching, that I saw on video, that I read in articles, and, I had to just get something out there. And I hope I said in the video, I'm not sure if I said it, but I'll just reiterate. This is about more than just Bill Cosby, the person. This is about, more than just a farce of a trial. And, this is about this is really about a system that is gearing up to change our democracy and our justice system, completely. I mean, with this whole Me Too movement, we're heading to a place where we believe the accusers, even though they don't have any evidence, even though it's out of the outside of the statutes of limitation, even though their stories are inconsistent, they change their stories, they barely have any corroboration to them. They could be wild as fuck and we'll still believe them. And I mean us as a whole, the American society. And it happened with Bill Cosby. He was just convicted because one woman, Andrea Constand, said she was sexually assaulted. And now they used 5 other women's testimonies from 62 other so-called accusers. But they can only use 5, which they shouldn't have used those 5 in the first place, because their cases had nothing to do with Andrea Constand's case. Andrea Constand's case, she was given Benadryl, and it's likely that she never even took the pills in the first place. But I digress. That's another video. I'll get back to Bill Cosby. I have a lot more information than I did when I first made the video. I've been researching and studying this whole time, so be on the lookout for that one coming soon. I wanted to do it today, but there's still so much that I'm figuring out, because I'm doing back research from, past 2014. I'm going back to 2005, 2004, when this shit all, really came about. And a lot of these allegations go far, past that. So I'm really digging deep, trying to find out the answers to this. I don't know if Bill Cosby is completely innocent. He might have done some of the things to these women. He might not have. He might be completely innocent. All I know for sure is this case was illegal. It should have never happened. It was a sealed deposition. They unsealed the deposition, even though the case was settled already and he paid her $3.4 or whatever $million. They continued to go after him and pursue charges, and they convicted him based on a weak ass case that should have never even have happened. I say all that in this video to bring up the point that this is more than just about one person. It's about our justice system. It's about our Constitution. It's about our democracy. Now we have 4 women that have not went to the authorities, that have not went to the hospital and got documentation that I have that's in front of me right now. They have told their stories to a news organization. And when you do that, before you even go to the authorities, which Andrea Constand did with Bill Cosby, before she went to the authorities, she waited a whole year and went to seek legal counsel, and she tried to get a lawyer before she even contacted the cops. Now, let me read to you the story right here from New York Times. Again, Eric Schneiderman, New York's Attorney General, is accused of abusing 4 women. So here we go. Eric T. Schneiderman, the New York Attorney General, who has risen to prominence as an antagonist of the Trump administration and a defender of women's rights, faced calls for his resignation after 4 women accused him of physically assaulting them in an article published Monday by The New Yorker. 2 of the women, Michelle Manning Barish and Tanya Silveratnam, who spoke on the record to the magazine, said they had been choked and hit repeatedly by Mr. Schneiderman. Both said they had sought medical treatment. Another woman, a lawyer, said Another woman, a lawyer, said she was slapped violently across the face. A 4th woman also said she had similar experiences. So one of these women is a lawyer. That's interesting. All of the women in the article who had been in relationships with Mr. Schneiderman said the violence was not consensual, so they were all in relationships with him. Mr. Schneiderman denied abusing the women, saying in a statement, "In the privacy of intimate relationships, I have engaged in role-playing and other consensual sexual activity. I have not assaulted anyone. I have never engaged in non-consensual sex, which is a line I would not cross." Within hours after the allegations were made public, Governor Andrew M. Cuomo, who, like Mr. Schneiderman, is a Democrat, called for him to step down. "My personal opinion is that given the damning pattern of facts and cooperation laid out in the article, I do not believe it is possible for Eric Schneiderman to continue to serve as Attorney General," Mr. Cuomo said. The evidence, pattern of facts, and cooperation. I'm sorry. He said, "My personal opinion is that given the damning pattern of facts and cooperation laid out in the article, I do not believe it is possible for Eric Schneiderman to continue to serve as Attorney General." So the pattern of facts and cooperation to him, that's evidence. That's facts for him. So here we go. The call was echoed by Sonia Orosio, the president of the New York arm of the National Organization for Women, which endorsed Mr. Schneiderman in both his 2010 and 2014 campaigns. "The evidence is overwhelming," she said. "He can no longer serve. He must step down immediately." So again, what facts? What evidence? What corroboration? Because there's 4 women. So because of the fact of multiple women coming out, we got this thing now in America. Well, so many women are coming out, it must be true. If all of these women, they can't all be lying, right? They can't all be lying. Yeah, actually they can. I'm not saying they are. I'm just saying they can. Mr. Schneiderman, the chief law enforcement officer of the state, who was widely seen as harboring ambitions to be governor himself one day, is up for re-election this year. No Democrats have declared an intention to challenge him in the primary. Manny Alejandro, a corporate lawyer from New York City, is running as a Republican and officially declared his candidacy on Monday. If Mr. Schneiderman does not resign, the Democratic-controlled Assembly could vote to impeach him. A trial would be held in the Republican-controlled Senate, which would be joined by judges from the state's highest court and Court of Appeals. A 2/3 vote would be required to remove him. Mr. Schneiderman has previously been outspoken about women's issues, announcing, for instance, a lawsuit against the company once run by the former filmmaker Harvey Weinstein, who was accused of decades of sexual misconduct. "We have never seen anything as despicable as what we've seen right here," Mr. Schneiderman said then. Since 2017, Mr. Schneiderman has also raised his profile nationally by talking on President Trump's agenda. Since 2017, Mr. Schneiderman has also raised his profile nationally by taking on President Trump's agenda repeatedly in the courts. He is pushing to change the state's law so that his office could prosecute Mr. Trump's aides, even if the president pardoned them. Miss Banning Barish, in the New Yorker account, described being slapped by Mr. Schneiderman after they had both been drinking. She and Miss Silveratnam said several of the attacks occurred after alcohol had been consumed. Sorry if I'm speaking fastly. I'm racing against my light here. Matter of fact, there we go. A little spotlight. "It was horrendous," she said. "It just came out of nowhere. My ear was ringing, I lost my balance, and I fell backward onto the bed. I sprang up, but at this point, there was very little room between the bed and him. I got up to try to shove him back or take a swing, and he pushed me back down. He then used his body weight to hold me down, and he began to choke me. The choking was very hard. It was really bad. I kicked. In every fiber, I felt I was being beaten by a man." Deborah S. Katz, a lawyer for Miss Manning Barish, said that it was Mr. Schneiderman's fantasy and his fantasy alone that the behavior was welcome. Mr. Schneiderman, she continued, has made a career railing against this type of abuse. Yet apparently he intends to re-victimize these courageous women who have come forward by pulling out that age-old sexist trope that they wanted it. So technically that's his only defense if these allegations are, true, that not the allegations are true, but if they were together in a relationship and they were getting hot and heavy, a lot of women want to be roughhoused. That's not a male chauvinist thing. That's a real fact. A lot of women like to be roughhoused. They like to be slapped on the butt. They like to be choked. You know, not to the point of near death, but they like to, well, some of them, but they like to be choked. You know what I'm saying? Like, some women do like this kind of behavior. They made a whole movie about it. It's called 50 Shades of Black. I mean, 50 Shades of Grey. Well, both of them. So come on now. And that's his only defense is, look, I never did anything that was non-consensual. You know what I'm saying? So, men, you got to be careful with these women now and this Me Too movement shit. Now we really are, our hands are tied. You know what I'm saying? Like, they hands can't be tied though, because then you'll get fucked up. So let me continue. Both Miss Manning Barish and Miss Silver Ratnam have in recent days repeatedly declined to comment when reporters for the Times asked them to address the allegations. Okay. Strange. After I found out that another woman had been abused by Attorney General Schneiderman in a similar manner many years before me, I wondered, who's next? And I knew something needed to be done. Like going to the cops? Nah. Ms. Silveratnam said in a statement released Monday night, so I chose to come forward both to protect women who might enter a relationship with him in the future, but also to raise awareness around the issue of intimate partner violence. Ms. Manning Barish also followed the article's publication with a post on Twitter saying that she could not remain silent and encourage other women to be brave for me. So she wanted to be brave for other women instead of other women being brave for her. Okay, I get it. A former wife of Mr. Schneiderman's... Okay, this is where it gets good. A former wife of Mr. Schneiderman's was taken aback by the allegations being leveled against him. I've known Eric for nearly 35 years as a husband, father, and friend, said Jennifer Cunningham, his ex-wife and frequent political strategist. These allegations are complete... So, you know, she's his political strategist, so that might play in you know, it might have an effect on her statement here. But again, she was his ex-wife, so if anybody has an interest in seeing this guy go down, but then again, she's his strategist as well, so, I've known Eric for nearly 35 years as a husband, father, and friend, said Jennifer Cunningham, his ex-wife and frequent political strategist. These allegations are completely inconsistent with the man I know, who has always been someone of the highest character, outstanding values, and a loving father. Mr. Schneiderman has long been regarded as one of the state's most progressive politicians, even before his 2013 lawsuit against Trump University and his subsequent suits against the Trump administration. I'm sorry. The way they wrote this is weird. Okay. Mr. Schneiderman has long been regarded as one of the state's most progressive politicians, even before his 2013 lawsuit against Trump University and his subsequent suits against the Trump administration made him the darling of the political left. Last fall, Mr. Schneiderman's office proudly pointed to a segment on the late-night comedy show Full Frontal with Samantha Bee, in which the Attorney General was described as a hero who stood up to democracy's nemesis, a Superman-like character known as Schneiderman. His credentials as an advocate for women in particular have gone unquestioned. In 2010, as a state senator from Manhattan, he introduced a bill to make intentional strangulation to the point of unconsciousness a violent felony. That same year, the National Organization for Women's New York branch endorsed him in his successful bid for Attorney General, citing his unmatched work in protecting women who are victims of domestic abuse. For several years, his office has published a Know Your Rights brochure for victims of domestic violence. We must recognize that our work keeping New Yorkers safe from domestic violence is far from over, Mr. Schneiderman said in the announcement for the 2016 brochure. At the direction of Governor Cuomo, he is currently reviewed in a 2015 decision by the Manhattan District Attorney Cyrus R. Vance Jr. not to prosecute Mr. Weinstein after an Italian model accused him of groping her. Some national Republicans were gleeful at the allegation. The Republican research shop America Rising quickly packaged Mr. Schneiderman's ties to other prominent national Democrats. So some national Republicans were gleeful at the allegations. The Republican research shop America Rising quickly packaged Mr. Schneiderman's ties to other prominent national Democrats. And on Monday evening, Mr. Trump's son, Donald Trump Jr., dug up an old tweet from Mr. Schneiderman in which he said, "No one is above the law," and tweeted at him, "You were saying?" So, again, this is from New York Times. by Danny Hakim and Vivian Wang. So my car don't die. So this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. So we got 4 women that are accusing Eric Schneider of assaulting them. He says no, everything was consensual. This was probably a case of 50 Shades of Grey, where they wanted, you know, him to roughhouse him a little bit. Maybe they didn't want him to roughhouse them a little bit, and he just roughhoused them a little bit, and they took that as the wrong way. Apparently, that's what's happening. Again, it was said that some of them sought medical attention. I didn't see any documents. I mean, that's not verified as fact. That's just what they said they did. None of them went to the police or contacted any kind of authorities. As from the article, I didn't hear anything about that. They all went and told their story to a magazine. So we're living in a very scary time where women can accuse you of rape, sexual assault, sexual misconduct. They can accuse you of anything from forcibly fucking them to grabbing them and kissing them or just looking at them in a sexual manner. That's what we're dealing with now. So we have to understand as progressives, as truth tellers, as people, that this goes against our whole system of being innocent until proven guilty. How is it that these women can go to magazines, go to the tabloids, they can seek out, you know, legal counsel, attorneys, before they even contact the police, before they even file a report, come out years later after the statutes of limitations are passed and claim that somebody did something to them? It's a very scary time. Whether you're a woman, you should be, if you're a woman, you should be pissed off at this. You should be, I don't know if these women are telling the truth or if they're not. It's just mighty funny to me that none of them contacted the police, from what I can tell from this article. Now, of course, I'm going to stay on top of this, and I'm going to dig deeper and find out more information. And if they did contact the police, if I find out more information, I'll come back and let you guys know. But this is what we're dealing with now. And I don't think it's right. We should be innocent until proven guilty. The burden of proof should not be put on the accused. It should be put on the accuser. You know what I'm saying? And if you come out, if you're a woman or a man or anybody that comes out and says that you were raped or you were sexually assaulted, and you're brave enough to tell your story, you should be absolutely brave enough to weather the storm. You should be absolutely brave enough to answer questions and to be cross-examined about this shit. And if you're found out to be lying or trying to set somebody up or trying to send somebody to jail or get somebody fucked up, then they should give you the exact same treatment. However many years they're going to give him or her, they should give to your ass. And that's just what it should be. So again, I'm going to stay on top of this and find out more information about it. If you guys know anything, let me know in the comment section below. Like this video if you like, share it if you feel as though it's shareable. And subscribe to me if you haven't before, so I can keep bringing you stories like this. Hell, subscribe to me so you can help educate me. Let's help each other out. Let's progress each other in this life, all right? So with all that being said, remember to love from your heart, peace from your soul, chicken in your belly. Keep spreading that enlightenment, and I'll see you guys on the next one.